Hello everyone, welcome back to the Elliott Confidential podcast. My name is Aaron and I'm here with Aiden, hopefully for a couple more podcasts. And Christopher Elliott.
Hello.
The mainstay of the show, the man himself.
Oh, wow, thank you very much. I think you guys are the mainstay of the show, but you know, we can argue about that.
Yeah, well, let's hope not for the future.
Okay. We are in Chiang Mai in Northern Thailand, up in the mountains, and boy, what an interesting place. What do you guys think of it?
Well, you know what? I don't think much of it because it's impossible to walk outside.
Yeah, it's very
We've
hot.
been-
It is hard to go out there.
We've been going in and out of malls, and I thought, Chiang Mai, it's not going to be like Bangkok, but I was wrong. Wow, I was wrong.
Yeah, they don't really have sidewalks to
Yeah.
walk on, but they have. We should probably explain that Chiang Mai it's an ancient city, and it's in the northern part of Thailand, about an hour from the Laos border. And it's basically built on a square. There's a wall, kind of an old fortified wall in town, and that is the center of town. And all around the wall are beautiful temples. So you walk around the wall and you see all these stores, temple, and one more beautiful than the next. They're truly spectacular. A lot of tourists come, and we have a favorite place that we go to right by the main gate. There's a coffee shop right across the street. Every day we're there. So we've got one more day to go there.
What are you talking about, a coffee shop? It's Starbucks, Dad.
Well, it's the only place that takes credit cards, which is the other thing, that they don't take credit cards. It's a cash-only city. They hardly take credit cards.
I think that we should give people an insight on how cash dependent this place is and also how to live in Chiang Mai cash free. Now, there's some limitations to this, of course, but you can live in Chiang Mai more or less cash free.
Yes, possible.
By only using Grab.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And we should explain that Grab is a lot like Uber Eats, except much cheaper.
Yeah.
Everything here is extremely affordable. I don't want to say cheap, but it's very affordable.
That's the thing with Chiang Mai is that when you come here because it's cheap. And everything else kind of comes second. Like you walk on the streets, it's not the cleanest.
You got to
city.
wear a mask
You
in
gotta
order
wear
to
a
walk
mask.
around.
Air
Yeah, you
quality is
do.
not very good. Streets fairly dirty. You can only really walk in a mall, especially during the warm season. And even in the malls aren't really the best malls.
It's not Bangkok, so you have the malls are a little bit smaller, but there is a nice mall here that we've found.
Yeah.
You have to get a car over there, but the weather is not as hot or rainy as it is in Bangkok. It's a little bit cooler because you're in the mountains, and it's really only rained 1 or 2 times here, and this is supposed to be the rainy season.
Though I will say, even then, it is very, very hot.
It's warm. It's
yeah.
warm.
Yeah.
Now, the big surprise for us, though, was our accommodations, because we went on to Airbnb, and we are kind of frequent Airbnb users, and we found a place that really looked nice, and it had high ratings. It was by Superhost, and it failed to mention one small thing. What was that?
It is a
Hostel.
hostel.
It's a hostel. Yes, it's a hostel. We rented the entire hostel out. Now, our host, a guy named Mr. Eddie, is a great guy. He is so attentive and definitely deserves his status as a superhost, but it's a hostel, so it's not the 5-star Taj Mahal that we might be used to.
Yeah, right now, we're sitting in our living room, which is also
The reception
a
area.
storefront.
I think we were talking about this last podcast, yeah.
Yeah. So that brings us to this week's question. This is a good one, guys. Have you ever stayed in a hotel that ended up actually not being a hotel? Maybe it was like a hostel or a camp, or maybe it was actually someone's house that they were just renting a room out. I'm talking about lodging surprises. Ever had one? We would love to hear about it. We will read your comments on the next podcast.
Yeah, I can't imagine something similar to this happening in like a house where they rent out a singular room. Because when you rent a certain types of places, you expect a certain level of privacy. But I do know that cases like that happen where you think you're renting a house, in reality you're renting a room in a house. And when you have something like that, there's essentially no privacy.
Well, and Airbnb is supposed to disclose that, VRBO is.
Yeah.
But just to give you an idea, I don't know, Aaron, could you describe what this place looks like? You walk in, it's a storefront basically, right? You walk in and
Well, you walk in and there's a bunch of sofas, I guess, for
Yeah.
people who, I mean, it's all used sofas. One of the sofas has a cover on it. So it's sofas, chairs, things that probably were picked up at like a
Big
garage
TV,
sale.
really huge TV.
Oh yeah, it's a new TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that. And then you have a little desk. It's like a,
It looks like a reception area.
It is a
You know,
reception
desk.
area.
And then you walk back, and there is a kitchen 1 and kitchen 2, but it really looks like more like a warehouse kind of.
yeah. So that part is not usually meant to be used, but you basically get to see the whole inner workings of, how can I call it? You get to see the whole inner workings of this business,
Yeah.
except that no one's using it. And it reminds
Yeah.
me a lot of when we stayed in Brisbane and we were staying above a spa.
That's right. And we had to keep the spa, when the spa was in business, we had to keep very quiet because people were getting a massage downstairs.
Yes.
And I remember one time we made soup and we got a call from downstairs saying, could you please open the windows because we can smell the soup and it's bothering the customers. That was interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because
That was definitely
they provide a
interesting.
kitchen, but
Yeah.
you can't really use the kitchen.
You can't use it during the day. When you go upstairs, please describe the upstairs. You got the good bedroom, actually.
Yeah, I got the corner bedroom because it was the only one with enough space for me to be able to record VR videos. I'd say the most recognizable aspect of this house, or not really house, this hostel, is the stairs. Those stairs are so
Oh.
difficult to climb up.
Those are like a ladder almost.
Yeah, it's very scary walking down them.
Yes.
And you have to walk up to them every time you want to go upstairs into your
Yeah,
room to
it's
work
true.
or anything like that.
It's true.
But the rooms are fine. They have
The
multiple
beds
beds
are,
in them.
the beds are like a rock. If you like a firm mattress, my
Yeah.
goodness, yeah.
I think it's more recognizable that there's multiple beds, but also the fact
Yeah.
that they're so stiff is also very hard to forget.
It's hard, yeah. It's definitely a memorable sleep experience. Let's just put it that
yeah.
way. And the bathrooms actually are not air conditioned, so you walk down the hall outside, and you walk to the bathroom, and it is blazing hot.
I'll tell you
in
what,
the bathroom.
the people don't realize how lucky they are to have bathrooms with air conditioning.
That's right.
Because, look, man, you're already like kind of heating up in the bathroom.
Yeah, right.
We take cold showers here because of how hot it is.
Yeah, I know.
And it's so hot outside. It's hot outside, and it gets even hotter in the bathrooms from like a greenhouse.
Oh yeah.
Greenhouse.
Well, put it this way. I have some medications in my bag, which is in the bathroom, and it says store in a cool, dry place. And I'm starting to get concerned that maybe the medications are spoiling because it's so hot in there. So
Don't keep them in the bathroom then.
I should probably move them.
Yeah, move it.
So guys, overall impressions of Chiang Mai. It's definitely not Bangkok. It is like, well, the prices are much lower, and the people are a little bit different too. It's a little less big city, a little bit more country, and you look at the mountains, and mountains are so beautiful. Can't wait because our next phase of this is going to be going to the mountains. We're going to be going up to the Golden Triangle, which is right on the Myanmar-Laos border. But let's talk though about Chiang Mai. Aaron, Chiang Mai impressions, please.
Chiang Mai is beautiful if you're looking at the mountains. Otherwise, very disorganized, not very clean. Wear a mask when you go outside. Very hot often. Better weather than Bangkok, but I would say also places so cash dependent. Really, the food, the level of English, the sort of market opportunities here, not that great. I mean, if you're looking for cheap things and if you really like going to open air markets,
Oh, they've got
then
great
you're
open air
going to be
markets.
great. It's going to be great for you. But the problem is, of course, most people, they think of farmers markets when they think of open air markets, and that's not what it is. You're dealing with a crowded road with mopeds, with rickshaws, tuk-tuks, cars, every mode of transportation, bicycles even, and they're all buying things and transporting them. You've got Grab people moving things from here to there. You have just all sorts of chaos, and those are on the main streets. It's kind of like Bangkok, but then when you get to the side streets, things get really narrow, but there is way less stuff. And in terms of like it just feels not very exceptional. It's just not very exceptional.
Yeah, it's a lot like Bangkok. It doesn't really have a city center here, and the people though are exceptionally friendly. And I wanted to circle back to this one thing that you and your brother mentioned, which is the workaround for not using cash, which is using the service called Grab. Grab, you can use that for food delivery and for transportation, so it's like Uber. And if you don't have cash, and the reason that we don't carry cash around is that we have to go to the ATM and then they charge us all kinds of fees, and sometimes like 9 out of 10 times it doesn't even work with my bank, so we have to use a credit card. And but you can use a credit card with Grab, and you can get food at stores that normally would only accept cash. So that's the workaround.
Yes, yes. The only issue is you can't use Grab in order to get into temples. And so
No, you can't.
And so if you want to go visit those temples that cost money to get into, you're out of luck.
It's cash only.
And so we've just been going to whatever temples like allow us in without cash. I mean, there are some that are just less trafficked.
There's a lot of beautiful temples here. I mean, I'll post some temple photos. And what do you like best about Chiang Mai, Aiden?
I would say the cost of living. You know, you walk outside, there's, you said, you know, it's like Bangkok. I think it's like Bangkok, but they took away all the good parts about Bangkok. And,
Wow.
no, seriously. So
They sold all the good parts.
maybe. The temples are really nice, really beautiful. Aside from that, really, there's nothing redeeming really about the city.
Okay.
I'm serious, because you'll walk around the city, it's very uncleanly, the air quality is really bad, and it's very hot. Like, I know you guys you say it's warm, but whenever I've walked outside, it's been nearly as hot.
Well,
as
and the reason for that is that you get up at like 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock and you start walking in the afternoon. If you go out in the morning, it's really nice, actually.
Well, I know, but we also walked in Bangkok in the morning, and it's also colder in the morning
course,
in
of
Bangkok.
course.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just really hot in general in Thailand, and maybe it's because of the time of the year here. But there is one situation which you would really want to be in Chiang Mai, and that's when you're really tight on a budget. Like if you're trying to start a business that can be location independent, and you really, really, really want all of your living expenses to be as cheap as possible,
Go to
you're trying
Chiang Mai.
to develop, you know, that asset base, go to Chiang Mai, because this place is cheaper than Bangkok. It's cheaper than Vietnam. It's probably the cheapest. It's cheaper than Indonesia. It's cheaper than Bali. This is really the place to save money.
Yeah, the prices here are pretty low.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, in defense of Chiang Mai, it has an emerging luxury hotel scene along the river, which the river can be quite beautiful if you're walking along the river. And there's a Le Méridien, there's an Anantara. There are a couple hotels that are being built right now, so it's really, I think, trying to shed its image of just being a place for backpackers. But if you walk around Chiang Mai, you will see a lot of hostels, not as many hotels, but a lot of hostels.
Yeah.
So they definitely know their market, and their market is people who are on a budget. They want to see Southeast Asia. They want it to be safe, and so they come here.
Yeah, well, it's not just that. It's also hostels that double as dispensaries.
Oh gosh, yes, lots of dispensaries. Our question of the week again is, have you ever stayed at a hotel that ended up not being a hotel? Maybe it was like a castle or something like that. And we will read your comments next week, but now we need to read your comments. In last week's podcast, we talked about Vietnam, and we had a great time there. Our question of the week was, has a paperwork problem ever prevented you from traveling? We had a lot of people who responded to that one. Traveling to Israel, this is from DW, during COVID was a paperwork nightmare, but I was able to get there three times between country closures. We couldn't even get in once, by the way. Vaccine records, proof of insurance, mask exemptions, documents, and airline approval, test results 24 hours before the flight. So much to prepare for, but it was worth it to be in the place that was so special to me with no crowds. Absolutely.
Wow.
We want to go back to Israel. We love that place.
Yeah,
Such a cool place to go.
Really nice area.
Yeah. Sam says we were driving and we came to the Croatian border. This was shortly after the war, and soldiers with rifles motioned Sam, you are so brave to be doing this. Anyway, motioned to pull over and get out of the car. They took our passports, thumbed through them, and walked away with them. An armed soldier motioned for us to stay out of the car, and we stood there in the snow for about an hour with no idea of where our passports were. And then finally the guards came over, handed us the passports, smiled broadly, and said, "Enjoy Croatia." Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's a good one. So we did have some other comments about Hoi An, and I probably want to read Janet's. She said she's been to Hoi An twice, and she just loves it. I want to return and have the time to explore more of the country. We also spent a couple of days in Da Nang and took some amazing street food tours. The South China Sea is lovely. We want to go back, boys, and we want to check out the mountains because those look like lots of fun, and we love to hike.
Yeah.
So just a quick reminder, our question of the week again is, have you ever stayed in a hotel that ended up not being a hotel? We would love to hear your horror stories. We will read your comments next week. And next week, we're going to be in all kinds of places next week. We're headed up first to Golden Triangle, and then we're going where?
We're going to Bangkok.
Back to Bangkok.
And then we're going to Nippon.
We're going to
Nippon.
Japan, yes. So we will be doing our next podcast from somewhere in Japan. I shouldn't tell you where yet, but it's going to be somewhere very special, I promise.
This has been the Elliot Confidential Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
All right, see you later. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.